I haven't seen any of the Hammer horror Dracula movies. As a rule, I very rarely watch sequels if I haven't seen the film's predecessors, but Prince of Darkness was on TV and I was bored, so I decided to give it a watch, which was a bit of a mistake, seeing as though the film opens by recapping the end of the first film. In this movie, as I'm guessing with most Hammer Dracula films, the infamous Count has already been defeated, for 10 years in fact, and we follow a group of English tourists, two couples, who are visiting the area. The locals deny the existence of the creepy castle that Dracula dwelled in, and choosing to ignore the warnings of a passing priest, the tourists decide to pay the castle a visit. They have a look around and even meet the butler, who has been tending to the castle even after his master's death. The first half of the film is a really great watch. I think my not having watched the original might have actually improved the film for me. I was immersed in the eerie sense of wonder at the characters exploring the castle. Because I went into the film completely blind, I wasn't even sure if Christopher Lee as Dracula was even going to show up. When the butler tells the tourists his master's name and that he's been dead for 10 years, I thought the film was going to go down a far different route than it actually did. I thought it was going to be a kind of legacy of Dracula kind of film, one where the titular character might not even make an appearance, but his presence is always felt. And it is in this castle. You get the sense that some terrible things happened in this place many years ago, and seeing as though I hadn't seen the first film, I wasn't sure what those things were, which only added to the creepy vibe I was getting from the first 45 minutes or so. John Carpenter once envisioned a sequel to Halloween after the death of Michael Myers, where it would not focus on him but his legacy and how his crimes affected the townspeople of Haddonfield. This is how Prince of Darkness kind of played out, and I can see how if you had seen the first one and knew that Lee was in this movie, you might be irritated that he hadn't appeared yet. But like I said, I went in blind and I was really digging this open-ended, mysterious tone that the movie had implemented. What was going on at the castle? How were the horse carriages driving themselves? And what is it with that creepy butler? Eventually Dracula does appear. Though I still enjoyed the film once he started doing his thing, it did turn into a rather formulaic and generic vampire story. He's no Lugosi, but Lee really was menacing as the Count. It's the first time I've seen him in the role, and according to Lee, the lines he was given in the film were so poor that he refused to say them and played it silent. It was for the best, probably. With Dracula, it's all about persona, presence, and atmosphere, and Lee had all three in abundance. Before Dracula is even in the room, you have to know he's coming, you have to feel him through the screen, that hair-raising cold sense of dread. And despite a lack of lines and screen time, the late Lee pulled it off, through the way in which he carried himself and the look of the character. A lurking evil, even when he's not there, he's there, and because he never says anything, only hisses and stares, it actually makes Dracula even creepier, almost animalistic. I'm not familiar with the rest of the cast, but by and large they all did a great job. There's a badass, no-nonsense priest who looks like he could take on 3 Draculas at a time, and the trivial, standard, friends around a table dialogue that the characters were given in the first half of the film was intelligent and snappy, drawing you into their mundane and commonplace issues before the horrors even get going. It sounds worthless to point out, but honestly, a few simple conversations about how, oh, it was much nicer back in England, or did you have any boyfriends before me, it adds to the relatability of characters, making them seem like real people as opposed to cardboard cutout cannon fodder for Dracula. I'm pretty new to the horror genre in general, and I'm really appreciating it when a horror flick takes that little bit of extra effort to build actual functioning characters before things kick off, instead of taking the piss by jumping straight into the horror elements without giving us characters to root for. I never liked the Hammer version of The Mummy. I thought it was pretty boring, and I had a thought in the back of my mind that maybe the Hammer films weren't going to be my thing, but Prince of Darkness I really enjoyed, and I look forward to watching other movies in the series when they're on TV. I give this one a 7 out of 10.